welcome to this collaboration of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. It's called DFS and Bets. I'm Holden. What's going on? I got Mangone. I got Matt Dixon, aka Twatty from the Bet Side Gentlemen. Hey, Twatty, thanks for hopping on with us, buddy. I know Keg was busy today and you're up late. I'm doing that live show with you from time to time. Love hanging out with you. You guys are doing wonderfully on the Bet Side. Good to see you.
Yeah, we've been killer on the bet side, no doubt, no doubt. I'm just happy to be on with the Dream Team this morning. Got me up awful early, but it's all good. I'm ready.
It's like noon,
dude. That's on my day off. That's I don't see the sunlight.
Real quick, Twatty sometimes during a live show will give away some graded cards. You gave away a graded Alvin Kamara card. I see. Yeah, you gave that away.
This one the other night.
Yeah, his rookie card. Why do you still have it?
I'm going to put it in the mail today.
The other thing I want to ask you about real quick, you got a Ken Griffey Jr. Fleer rookie. I legit have about 20 of those. Are they worth anything in really good condition?
In really good condition, yeah, they could be a couple $100 each.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe I'll start thinking about selling those soon. Mangone, always good to see you, my friend. As we were talking, we're kind of legally married work-wise. We see each other almost every day.
By the way, there it is.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty.
That's the same one you're talking about.
Yeah, not as handsome as Mangone, of course, but we got that. So let's get into these 6 games, Mangone. I'm going to start with you. We got Steelers, Ravens, Jets, Chiefs, Niners, Seahawks, Saints, Bears, Vikings, Packers, and we'll wrap it up with the Titans and the Bengals. So Mangone, let's start with you. You love this slate, I feel like. Come on, if you don't like this slate, you at least got to like this game.
This slate is not that good, though. It's not that good. I mean, it's okay. I mean, we'll dress it up. We'll do the best we can. This game? I mean, this game's fun. I mean, sure. Yeah, you got to like Lamar. It's fun to watch, but like DFS-wise, are you excited about it? You excited about a 46.5 total in DFS?
Yes, it's going to be a great game. Before Mangone just starts just pooping all over this, make sure you give us likes on the YouTube page and subscribe to both YouTube pages, Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. How do you not like to talk about Lamar Jackson when he's $2,000 cheaper on DraftKings than he was earlier in the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth talking about. Yes, the price, right? It's definitely, going to be a really nice price tag on him, and it's a close game, right? That's the one thing that's nice too. The big fear with the Ravens has been, hey, they're going to be up and they're just going to be establishing the run with guys like Mark Ingram, Gus the Bus, J.K. Dobbins. Who knows who's going to be in there? So, that's obviously one of the fears that you had with this Ravens team. But you expect you're going to get like a full 4 quarters of Lamar Jackson. So maybe that price, downgrade on him is going to be worth it. Like I said, I don't love this slate. I think it's fine. There are some solid games. I think last week you saw, Lions, Falcons. You expected the game to be pretty fun, back and forth. Obviously, it wasn't as fun as you want it to be, but there was a lot more scoring, I think, last week, at least expected scoring, than this week, in my opinion. I just think some of the games are a little bit lame, but that doesn't mean we can't make money on it, right? That doesn't mean there's not edges here that we can take advantage of. I will say this from a Ravens Steelers perspective in DFS, there's not a lot I love in this game because the Steelers side, one, they spread the ball around a ton. That's obviously one of the fears. And sure, you can play the guessing game. Will it be Claypool, Johnson, Juju? Who will the guy be? But does it matter because they're playing against the Ravens, who are a very good team. This is a lower total than most on the slate. This is a better pass spot for me. The only guy I really like from a DFS perspective in this game is Lamar Jackson, and that's about it.
How can you not like some of the other players that are out here? How can you not like the explosiveness of Deontay Johnson and Marquise Hollywood Brown? How can you not like the possibility of 2 touchdowns from Mark Andrews or maybe the defensive side? I mean, I feel like I just got to pull your teeth out to talk about this game. Come on, man. I'm going to be glued to this game.
Well, you're going to be glued to the game because it's a good game, but from a DFS perspective, it is definitely not. It's not even in a dome. It's probably going to be cold in Baltimore too, right? Like we're getting to that point in the year where we have to start watching, right? Winter is coming. Derrick Henry's going to run all over everyone and just take everyone out with his like 5.8 yards per carry. I think he has in November, something insane like that. So this is one of those times where it's like, I want to look at dome games. I want to be at spots where it's a little bit warmer. And, this kind of rivalry game, gritty type of game, I'm out, man. I just want Lamar Jackson, and I think that's it.
All right, Twatty. Come on, let's spruce this up. Let's prove Mangone that he's wrong. Let's go from a betting perspective, huh?
Well, let me just start with, because I'm from Pittsburgh, die-hard Steeler fan, know that team inside and out. You want to know who's going to get the most targets for Pittsburgh this week? It's going to be Chase Claypool, no doubt. Because what they do every week is they rotate. It's the craziest thing. I don't know if it's because they think the other team doesn't have film on the previous guy or what. But every week it'll be it'll be Juju, then it'll be Clay, and then it'll be Deontay. They never go back-to-back weeks with the most looks or the most targets. So definitely it's going to be Claypool. He had two or three targets last week. They're going to definitely utilize them.
Well, let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
Because Deontay Johnson seems like he's hurt every single game.
Well, he's frail.
But when he's in there, it seems like he's getting the majority of the targets. Ben loves him.
Well, yeah, that's exactly to my point. When someone misses a game or something and there's not tape on them, they go right to that guy. Just that's exact. They've done it for years. And I think part of it's the AB rule. Like AB, if he won a game and he wasn't getting touches, he wasn't getting looks, he would bitch and get the ball the next week. So they try to keep everybody happy by rotating it every week. Their offense is so good that they can actually do that. They can pick which receiver to throw to this week. And they've done it consistently since AB and Juju were together. But now back to the bet side. You know, what's so ironic about this game, and you know, we think about Ben and his four, you know, Washington and Deontay Johnson and Claypool and Juju and, you know, Connor. We think about their offense. You know, they're 25th in yards per play in offense, which it just shocked me when I was looking at it. And furthermore, Baltimore's 19th. We think of those as two really good offensive teams, and they are. I think part of it's game script or whatever, that they haven't put up the big numbers like they usually do. But this is two really good defenses too. So, I mean, we're talking about the third and sixth best defense out there. But I look at the game script on this. Like, so what's Baltimore's path to winning this game? You would like to say running. Obviously, that's what they do best. They're not going to run on Pittsburgh. It's not going to happen. You know, Derrick Henry, I took under rushing last week against Pittsburgh. It didn't smell it. He got to 70. Okay. He's normally 100 to 110. Okay. He got to 70 last week. You're not going to run on Pittsburgh. So what's that? What are they going to have to do? They're going to have to throw the ball. Can they really throw the ball? Fine. We'll take Hayden and Minka Fitzpatrick over the top against Hollywood Brown. I mean, we had no problem with that. So I just don't see Baltimore moving the ball too much in this game. Pittsburgh, I think, while again, they're 25th in offense, I think that's just the way the games have broken down. I think they can score at will. Their team total is 20.5. Now, we've hit all year on their team totals at 27.5, 24.5, 23.5, 20.5. So 3 touchdowns. Now, again, Baltimore's got a good defense, but this is a hell of a play. Under 3 touchdowns. With Ben, those 4 receivers, James Conner running well, very good offensive line. So that is definitely my play. Team total over 20.5 on Pittsburgh. I do have a couple looks like Claypool, anything that he would have on his overs, you know, number of catches, yards. And I do like Pittsburgh +4. I mean, you're giving me more than a field goal with what I believe is a better team ultimately. I mean, it's close, but 4 points. So you're going to give me 4 points with Pittsburgh. I like the over 20.5 team total, and I like Claypool props. But ultimately, pin me down. I'll take over 20.5 team total.
Real quick, your thoughts on Jackson running, though? Do you feel like Lamar Jackson's in trouble? I kind of like it a little bit because I think they're going to pressure him out of the pocket. That's
exactly right. That's the sneaky prop. While he's not going to run the ball on those design runs on Pittsburgh, I don't think. Pittsburgh then is going to pressure him with Watt and Dupree, and then he's going to get his broken play yards. He could easily pick up 50, 60 just because he's pressured and has to scamper out. So I have no problem with the Lamar Jackson over running prop, but I don't think it's going to be conventional. I don't think it's going to be him just design runs. I think it's going to be him running for his life.
Okay, real quick, back to you on this. Is that where you are on this, man, going with Lamar Jackson, if this is your only play?
Yeah, I would say that he definitely obviously break one for a big one. And we play him because of the legs, right? The upside that he has. And we know that that's what DFS quarterbacks that run can do. And that just massive ceiling that they provide. I also agree with Twatty. Like I like the whole, I like the whole call on the Steelers. I think they're a really, really good team. And I think the Ravens, like, man, I'm not a big believer in, Lamar. I mean, I think like in like tougher games, especially against like tough defenses, like he's going to have his struggles trying to be super accurate. So I do I pick 5 picks every week for like a football pool that I'm in, and Steelers are one that I'm definitely looking at making one of my choices. So yeah, I definitely think the Steelers are a good call there. I like his takes on that.
Yeah, it just seems like every week I'm on the Steelers. Like, even if it doesn't work out. Last week on the Steelers, 2 weeks ago on the Steelers. I don't even remember if that worked out or not. This week, probably back on the Steelers. I feel like they're the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the National Football League. This, to me, is the team that is the biggest threat to the Chiefs because they just do everything well. Defensively, they're well coached. I like it. All right, let's move on. We got the Jets and the Chefs. And boy, is Mangone excited about this one, too. All right, fake enthusiasm, buddy, because at least we got to find something from the Kansas City side, won't we? I mean, Lev Bell, revenge game, Travis Kelce, total stud. Maybe Tyreek or Hardman go and have big games. I don't know what to tell you from the Jets side. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is he in play? LaMichael Pirine, this is interesting. I mean, maybe he's just like I don't think his floor is there. LaMichael Pirine is a guy that for the last 2 weeks, Adam Gase said he wanted to get more involved. He's actually gotten him more involved. He ran a 4.62 40 in the combine, so that's ugly, but he has these big hands. He's a good pass catcher. Any interest in either side? Mahomes even here, Mr. Mangone.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll muster some stuff up. So you can always get me excited about a revenge narrative, right? Okay. I am definitely team like revenge. It's definitely a good time. Le'Veon Bell, right? This is like the perfect week to just tell Clyde, hey, listen, man, like we like you and all. You're our guy, but let's make Le'Veon happy. It's like, the first game here against his former team. Like, let's be sure to get him in the end zone. So I will say, Le'Veon Bell is not the craziest idea in tournaments. I definitely don't mind it. And they're big favorites. They're home. So I do have to say, like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire could have a big game too. I'm not saying play both together, but I do think you can make a case for the running game here. Listen, the one issue I have with this game is like, I want games that interact with each other, right? I want games where, as the kids say, Holden, it's lit, right? You just did the podcast with the kids last night, I think. Or you're doing it tonight?
No, tonight.
Sorry. The old guys don't say it's lit. But the guys tonight, they will say it's lit, and we want games that are lit. And can the Jets provide that? Can that game interact with each other enough? Are they able to score on that Chiefs defense? Did they put up a decent fight against the Bills? Yes, they did, but I have my fears about that. Obviously, if Jamison Crowder's back, you can make a case for him. He has been phenomenal. He has been the number one, and they're going to be losing for most of the game. It's one of those situations where, like, everyone wonders why George Kittle, like, doesn't have, like, these bigger numbers. And it's like, well, George Kittle goes off when he plays against teams where you're forced to actually push the ball. And all last season, what happened? The Niners, all they did was run the ball because they were leading all the time. They had a good defense. Now the Jets on the opposite end, they're not running the ball a ton. The reason why is their defense is terrible. Their offense isn't that great either. And what happens is this team is always trailing. So you're going to see the Jets throwing at like a 70 to 80% clip, basically of run versus pass. And that just leads for so much opportunity for a guy like Jamison Crowder. So if Jamison Crowder's in, I definitely have some interest in him. I will say I didn't get to watch Denzel Mims too much. He's supposed to be, supposed to be like their young rookie. I don't know if you guys have any takes on him. I haven't grinded Jets film out.
Who's that?
Denzel Mims. I don't know how he looked with Darnold, but he's a guy like we're going to want to play at some point, right? He's 3.2K. And if he's like this like young rookie that they're going to just keep giving some volume to, he got 7 targets. If you're going to get, 7 to, let's say he gets up to 10 targets a game, if that's going to be the average for a guy at 3.2K that's always losing, it's got to be somewhat interesting. So I think these Jets pass catchers, they're always in play to some degree. I think you have to kind of consider them just because of the volume that they can see. And then if they fall into the end zone and get like 10 targets and catch 8 balls for like, 60 yards and a touchdown at their cheap prices, like they could be on the winning team easily.
Yeah, and I look at Mims last week. I like this. He was their big pick at wide receiver in the draft. 7 targets, 4 catches, 42 yards. But here's the better part. He had 2 red zone targets. So Darnold was looking to him deep. They just don't have anybody else there. That's the whole problem.
Yeah, he has the size, right? I think you may have just said it there. Does he have the size where he's able to be the guy to like go up and get the ball for them? Which again, like Jamison Crowder is great and all, but he's not that guy. Like that's. Just
but isn't he better on FanDuel then if he's more of just a target there? I mean, I love the price on DK at 3.2, but isn't he more of a target on FanDuel though if we're going to rely on touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. But also on FanDuel, you don't always need that price savings. It always depends on the week, right? Do you need that price savings? Like last week, did we need the price savings? No, we didn't, because we had all these cheap running backs that were able to just kind of get the job done. So it just depends on the week and what kind of prices we have.
All right, very good. Matt Twatty Dixon, 19.5. Kansas City is favored. You and I kind of talked about this before the game. You really don't have a hard lean on it, but let's get some analysis here because this is the biggest spread of the week. I mean, this reminds me of early season last year when we'd have 18, 20, 22, 24-point favorites in the NFL.
Do I have to talk about this?
Yes, talk about it. Say something. I don't care.
I'm just kidding. Well, no, first off, I think you guys are right on the money. Denzel Mims. So part of one of my side hustles is I flip sports cards. Everyone knows that. So my biggest acquisition before the season was Denzel Mims. Okay. I thought he had huge up potential because he's with the Jets and they have nobody. He's a deep threat. He's huge. He can run. Red zone monster. I think definitely we're going to start looking at his props again. I don't have the props out for him yet this week, but I am all over him. I
will say, Twatty, real quick. It's so funny when like you're talking about something and then you just pull up Twitter real quick and because you're trying to ignore Holden like I always try to do. And Denzel Mims from Davis Mack, 32% target share in his first NFL game. Like I didn't know that was the exact number. So pretty interesting to see. So yeah, that's something, his props might be really good, actually, the more I think about it, right? These young receivers at first, their props are not normally adjusted in time. And if he's getting fed early, we definitely have to, consider that as a prop too, I think.
Well, yeah. Okay. So you got Darnold or whoever is going to be back there. Who are you going to throw to? You're going to throw to your new toy who's can jump out of the gym, can run, got great hands. Are you going to throw to Jamison Crowder? I mean, come on, he's going to get those targets are going to go up, and the kid can play. I mean, he's a baller. The second thing is I am not a narrative guy at all. I can't stand narratives, but this is the one spot I like the narrative with Le'Veon Bell. Listen, he got cut by this team 2 to 3 weeks ago. All we really need is Andy Reid to give us one more handoff or one more target, right? Because it's going to be low. What's his rushing total going to be? Set at 25, 30? I don't know. So
yeah, I think it was 18.5 last week, I believe. It was very low though. It was
right. So if Andy Reid says, hey, let's get Le'Veon an extra carry or two, we should get there, or let's get him an extra target or two. That should get us there, right? So I don't know if Andy Reid's really that type of dude, but Le'Veon's going to want to put it to him. He just got cut 2 weeks ago by this team he's playing, so I do like that narrative. Now, in regards to the game, listen, KC can name their score, right? I mean, they can. So the question is when do they take their foot off the pedal? Okay, so forget all that. Why try to even figure that out? Because we can't. We'll do what we do with Alabama every week, right? We know Alabama is going to come out and put 35 on the scoreboard in the first half, right? And then end up only scoring 45 for the game. That's what they do because they take their foot off the gas. So instead of targeting the full game here and knowing they're going to take their foot off the gas, let's just do a first half line on this, right? They're going to put it on them early and then just take their foot off the gas. So I'm looking at like 10s in the first half. The full game's 20, basically 19.5, 20. I'll take a 10 if I can get a 10 for KC in the first half. I don't know if I could do 10.5. I see some 10s, some 10.5s. 10.5s I'd probably be off, but just like Alabama does, they'll put it on you early and then take their foot off the gas. We've known that for years, and that's a good way to look at this game. Because the question is, when do they take their foot off the gas? Is it the third quarter? Is it the fourth quarter? We don't know, but we know the first half they're going to put it on you.
Okay, very good. I got some big news on the win this weekend, by the way. I was just looking at I was looking at some win in the games we have talked about. There is no win, but I want to bring this up here. It's very important. We're going to talk about the Saints and the Bears in a couple minutes. 21 mile an hour winds there, 22 miles an hour in Green Bay, 23 in Cleveland, 20 in Buffalo. I mean, this is absolutely amazing what we're seeing. And, I have to stress this every single week. The snow is an advantage to the offense. the the rain, usually, unless it's a deluge, not a big factor. The biggest factor is wind. 15 miles an hour, we start to see some impact. And this is more for fantasy, but you can apply this to betting. 15 miles an hour, we see a slight decrease. Once we hit around 20 miles an hour, there's a massive, we're talking up to a 30% decrease in offensive production. Man, going for DFS purposes, this is going to suck. I mean, personally, on the betting side, I'm going to completely stay off betting any of those games with the wind. And on the DFS side, I mean, we might have 4 games where passing attacks are just completely blown up.
Yeah, but that's not like the worst thing in the world, right? Because people still might play those passing attacks. So if they're going to, basically what I'm trying to say is, like, if we can just avoid those landmines and other people just want to take bad plays, then that's okay, right? So obviously that's something I'll wait until later in the week to kind of digest and figure out. But obviously I like hearing that. And I even commented on your Twitter post about it, Holden, while while we were here. So yeah,
well, you should be focused on the show, not on my Twitter post, but I'm at Holden Radio if you're interested. Hey, Niners and Seahawks. So it's supposed to be nice there. Nice.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. Holden.
Nice 125 game on the Pacific Northwest. And we got 54 degrees and we got 4-mile-an-hour winds. Go figure. The nicest weather that we're going to have is in Seattle this week. And I mean, you got to like this one, man, going. You got to love this, at least the Seattle side. I mean, we got so many injuries for San Francisco defensively. Then we got Russ Wilson. I mean, fade the running game altogether. But to me, this is a DK Metcalf week over Tyler Lockett. Don't you think everybody's going to be on Lockett again? And this is where Metcalf just goes nuts after he was double teamed last week by a good defensive team.
Well, I like that call with Metcalf.
A better one.
Yeah, I like that call with Metcalf. He's definitely someone I'm going to look at to play when I run back my Jimmy Garoppolo stacks. Call me crazy. Listen, I'm not a big Jimmy Garoppolo guy. I think he's solid. He can get the job done, but he's not this gunslinger, right? But he gets to play Seattle. And I think the nice part about this is Seattle's secondary is absolutely terrible. I mean, it is the worst in the league, and it is one that we want to attack. And I get it, right? People are going to probably play George Kittle. But George Kittle is expensive. And if you look at it, are people going to go and play Brandon Ayuk and Kendrick Bourne and do a Jimmy Garoppolo stack and run it back with DK Metcalf, or even play like a Carlos Hyde in a little revenge spot? If we want to talk about some more old running back revenge games, there's one right there. I just think that this is a really good spot to play Jimmy Garoppolo stacks. And everyone's going to be like, man, it sounds like a good idea, but I can't do it, right? Like, it's going to be, oh yeah, that's a good play. When you listen to the podcast, like, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo with Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle ran back with DK Metcalf. That's solid. And then the dude won't play him, right? That's just one of those things that people do on podcasts. They talk about a situation and they say, oh yeah, that's fine, but they'll go find another spot. No, like, play this spot. I think I'm already dedicating a tournament team right now to Jimmy Garoppolo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and either DK Metcalf or Carlos Hyde. I will admit, when I did build the DK Metcalf on it, I was kind of messing around. I said, man, that's hard to make happen, obviously, because I didn't have all the right value yet, and it's not Friday, so we don't know all the injury news. But sign me up for some Jimmy G this week. I am going to be all over him here against this terrible Seattle secondary.
Ooh, and I like Ayuk this week. I do. I'm going to go throw him in my my player pool. I love what I'm seeing out of him. Now Debo's probably out. He's affordable, 5'8", DK 5'9" on DraftKings. And he's ran the most routes on the Niners the last 2 weeks. Think about that. So that's my little GPP play there with Brandon Ayuk. All right, Mr. Matt Twatty Dixon. Niners, Seahawks. Seattle defense is a sieve. Offense, tremendous. By the way, they just traded for Carlos Dunlap. So when he gets there in the future, that is definitely going to help their pass rush. But what are you looking at with the Seahawks -3? And then the total here is interesting too at 53.5, 54.
Yeah. So initially, yeah, I like the total over. And yes, bringing in Dunlap, that helps. I mean, anything's going to help that defense. I mean, they're 29th in defense. First in offense. I mean, come on, guys. Can we get a little balance here? So you want to talk about balance. That's where you go to the Niners. They're 8th in defense. They're 12th in offense. Now, this is a team that has lost Debo Samuels, Jimmy G, Kittle, Mostert, Coleman, Wilson on offense. They've lost Solomon Thomas, Dick Sherman, and Nick Bosa on defense. And Shanahan still wins with this team. Okay. Shanahan offensively is a genius. He's going to put in Hasty this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hasty gets him 100. Wilson got him over 100 last week, right? And you still got Jerick McKinnon there too. But this guy can really coach him up on offense. They're very well-rounded. They're actually a dog on the road, which doesn't surprise me because everyone all year, Seattle's Super Bowl contender. They're a Super Bowl contender. Defense wins championships. I mean, usually. And you have the 29th best defense, and you expect to be a favorite. I think the Niners, in spite of all those injuries, are the better team. I think the Niners are a better team than Seattle. And I just, like I said, they're 8th in defense, they're 12th in offense. Would you rather have that or 1st in offense and 29th in defense?
Well, given the injuries for the Niners, I don't think they're that good. I named all those, but some of them are back. Obviously, Jimmy G's back, Kittle's back, Coleman's coming back. So I mean, I named a shit ton of people, but a lot of them are back now. You know what I mean? So I think they're a more well-rounded team. Obviously, the X factor is Russ. Russ could be the best quarterback in football, and he's due for a bounce back. He didn't play good last week. So that's tough to fade Russ off a bounce back spot. His weapons are unbelievable. I don't think it's going to hurt. They lost Chris Carson. Carlos Hyde's going to be fine. He's a killer at the goal line. So I'm going to take the 3. I think that these two teams are about even. So you give me the field goal, I'm going to take it. I think they're just a more well-rounded team. And I really like Shanahan. I think that guy's a really good coach. I think Pete Carroll's a good coach too, but I really like Shanahan. That is fascinating. Mangone, you bet too. What do you think about that?
Listen, I'm a big Kyle Shanahan guy. Like, there's honestly, if I could have one coach in the league, I think it'd be him. Call me crazy, but that's the guy I would want. He is just so sharp, man. So yeah, I definitely kind of agree with it. Like, I will say, I'm definitely looking to see if the Niners are going to be +3. I think the lines that I get lock on Wednesday night. So I need this to hold a little bit longer. Give me the +3 with the Niners. I'm kind of in agreement. Nothing against Seattle. They're great and all. And the one reason I like this Niners offense so much is, one, we know Shanahan. I always talk about this. I want to bet on smart coaching, right? Like when I'm playing DFS, the coach matters. And this coach is smart enough to know that secondary is the worst in the league and that Jimmy can pass all over him, right? And on top of that, you know what the Seattle Seahawks can do? They're good enough where they're able to keep the pressure on them. This game is going to interact back and forth. I'm not saying I like the over, but I feel good about that total getting the 53.5 or getting close to it than some of the other games on the slate. So, yeah, sign me up. I like the Niners, and I like this game to shoot out of it.
Love it. Love it.
Amazing. That really is.
You're not agreeing.
Yeah, I'm just not there. I think I'm a lot more down on the Niners than you guys are. The Bosa injury, the D Ford injury. I mean, the pass rush just isn't there. Our guy Russell Wilson's going to have all the time in the world. Now, listen, last week, Kyler Murray ate them alive. There is no mobile quarterback to bail them out this week. When we're looking at Kittle and Ayuk and who's their running back now?
Hasty.
I mean, what are we talking?
McKinnon and Hasty.
But why do they need that? They literally have like the sharpest offensive mind in the league. He does the greatest motions to get guys open. George Kittle, what do you think Kittle's going to do to this team? I mean, it is going to be an absolute slaughter there in Seattle with George Kittle. I want to know what his props are. You know what I'll probably bet? I'll probably bet him to score a touchdown because I expect this game to go pretty crazy. And listen, the times I like to play George Kittle or bet his props is when they're not using him as a blocker, right? Where they need to use him and when they know they can take advantage of it and the offense is able to put the pressure on. This is a great spot for all the George Kittle overs. Definitely going to be all in on Kittle. I think he's just
this is the Kittle week.
Here's the other thing. Shanahan has made Jeff Wilson look good, Matt Breida look good, Tevin Coleman look good. He's going to make Hastings look good, Jerick McKinnon look good, Mostert look good. I mean, Mostert's a stud, but this guy didn't see the field until he went with Shanahan. I mean, it doesn't matter. That's 5 running backs that doesn't matter. They're going to run in his offense. So I'm not worried about that it's Hasty out there or not. He's going to probably get 100.
I saw firsthand covering at the time the Redskins, seeing this guy work with Alfred Morris and Robert Griffin III, and then they Then they wanted Robert Griffin III to be a quarterback, and he didn't want to be one. So that kind of went down. But he has made mediocre backs just look spectacular. Here's the one thing about Mostert I'll just throw at you, though. This guy has game-changing speed. So obviously he's down now, but he's the fastest. He's the Tyreek Hill of running backs in my eyes. Okay, let's get to the Saints-Bears game. Now, guys, forecasts are going to change, Mangone. But right now, 21-mile-an-hour winds. New Orleans 4-point favorites. Total in this game, can you go with the total at 43.5? Yeah. If you think that this game is going to be hit hard by wind, don't you hammer the under, guys? Yeah. Right now, do you do it?
The number's 43.5. This ain't a great line, right? That's the one thing I'll say. It's like, it is rough. So it's tough to get me excited about a game like this. I will not be touching that Bears side. We should talk about the defenses, right? Like Saints D, it could be a really good time to be playing. And is Michael Thomas back? What's the situation with him this week? Are we getting him? Are we not getting him? No Michael Thomas. Okay, so then Alvin Kamara at 8.2K. Another reason to maybe talk about Kamara too is like, one, we've been seeing them just feeding him a ton. Two, he's got should have positive touchdown regression coming his way, right? The touchdowns have not been there, but I'm sure they're going to be coming. It's not like he's going to go all season with, obviously week 1 he crushed. I think he had 3 touchdowns, but he's with the amount of touches he's getting, he should see more opportunities there in the red zone. And he's only 8.2K. It wasn't a massive price hike. And if you talk about the wind and a guy who's got a noodle arm, as we like to say, with Drew Brees, it's a good spot where a lot of dump offs, I think, could be fed over to Mr. Alvin Kamara. I think he's a really strong play in your cash games. The floor is really good. Upside is insane too. And then with the other pass catchers, they're fine, right? But keep in mind, it's a 43.5 total, right? This isn't like a game stack spot, in my opinion. We're not rolling out a Drew Brees, Traquan Smith, Jared Cook stack, ran back with Allen Robinson. I don't think that's the right move. I think mixing and matching some pieces throughout the game, I think that's the way I would approach it. And the main guy I'm keying in on for cash games specifically and tournaments because of his upside is Alvin Kamara.
That's it. It's just Kamara. He's going to get the volume. I think he kind of disappointed last week, to be honest with you. A lot of us were expecting 30 on DK. We got 19 or 20, but it doesn't matter. This guy is just the whole offense.
Yeah, the thing that happened at running back is most of the guys that got rostered, they just all got around 20. So it just depended on what receivers you ended up having, right? So if you had a cheap receiver that had a massive ceiling game, then it didn't matter if you had Kamara. But ultimately, you probably needed to have the cheaper running backs because of the way Devontae Adams performed and DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, all those guys, right? That just seemed like you needed to have the cheaper running back. And listen, it's a day where we're getting in these slates where the weather's getting colder. Scoring could get a little more down this week than I think it was last week. And what I think you could see here in this spot, Holden, is you could see getting that nice floor with an Alvin Kamara is a good thing to have, right? Because the scoring, I think, could be a little wonkier this week. I just think it's going to be lower scoring than last week's was.
So again, Matt Twatty Dixon from the bet side, Saints Bears, low total, Saints 4-point favorites. Right now, as we tape this, though, it's Wednesday and there's 21-mile-an-hour winds. Forecasts obviously change. How are we handling that on the betting side?
Well, first off, if you've been an under better the last couple years in football, you've been a losing better. But I don't care. You can't look anywhere but under here. I saw 25 to 30 sustained. Yeah. In wind gusts to 40. Now they could change, but it could change for the worse. Who knows what it's going to change to. So what you have is an average offense with the Saints against a pretty good defense in the Bears. What you have is a bad offense in the Bears against a pretty good defense. Okay. Factor that in with this wind. So if you have a quarterback who can cut through that wind, that's one thing. Well, we clearly don't have that here. We have Nick Foles against Drew Brees. Okay. It's not like they're cutting through this wind and lighting it up. They're not, Aaron Rodgers and Lambeau for all these years. So I got it at 45. Clearly, I got the best of the number because if you're saying it's down to 43.5, I would be willing to take it. I could easily see a 21-13, 21-17 type game. 24-17 still is even. 24-20, you're still almost there. I could definitely see this landing under. I don't like the matchup with the quarterbacks. Again, we have average offenses against pretty good defenses. I'll take the under.
All right. I like it. I like it.
Matt, that's some respect for the Bears. You're getting them. I heard you say 20 points at one point. That terrible team. I think they're the biggest frauds in like one of the
Well,
biggest.
there you go. So you're with me.
Ooh, I hate the Bears. I think that team is so bad.
They're the worst. We went into it last week. Weren't they 5-1? They're the worst 5-1 team I've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely. They are not good.
Well, and they were good because of their defense, which even lends more to the under here. So, I just really, that was my no-brainer play. I didn't even really have to break it down that much. That's the play.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to go with like a 1/10 of a unit at this point in the week and just bet the under. And with the Packers, the Browns, the Bills, the Bears. I mean, if those 4 hit because of the win and it keeps up, it's not a big wager, and it could pay off big time. I mean, if you look at this, and at least with the win, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channels if you haven't already. Run Pure Sports, Run Pure Bets. And I know the bet side, we got 20 for a week. What is it a month? Is it 80?
50.
50 a month?
But we are running that. I think it's the coupon is 25 off, maybe. So you can save right now. Yeah.
So it's $50 with the coupon?
Yeah, it's $50. Or if you want to just dip your toes, $20 a week.
$20 a week. Yeah, and we got to get him the coupon code though.
Yeah, well, no, I just pulled it out. It's 60. I think it's 25 with the code. At least that's what I see on the site. Maybe it is 50.
What's the goddamn code? So give me a code.
I don't know. I think Jay or JJ will know.
It's 25 off. It's 25 off. It definitely is 25.
That's
off.
It. 25 off. That's the
called.
code.
25 off. Type it in. And also, if you're a DFS guy and you're watching this right now, I can pull up the pricing. I can't remember the exact difference.
Well, you get both for 100. Like you get all the DFS content and all the betting content for $100.
Yeah, so you can get a package of it all together. And if you want to do we have if you want to do the annual one, it's $1,000 for all for the whole year. So we have all different options. All you got to do is head on over to Run Pure Sports or Run Pure Bets. When you go there, type in members. Go to the scroll bar at the top. It says members. You hit our pricing, and you can check out what you want. And always feel free to reach out to us on our Twitter account. Anywhere else, we'll help you guys out and tell you what you guys need.
All right, thank you very much for clearing that up. You're the adult in the room. And I really appreciate it, man, going.
Yep. And also give us those, as JJ says, give us those 2 thumbs up on the video, please.
That's it. What if you only there's only 1 thumb. So settle down there, man, going.
You got to have a burner account, right? Everyone's got a burner, Holden. Everyone's got a burner.
If you hit it twice, though, it'll take the 1 like away. I'm just trying to, just hit it once.
Fair enough.
Then subscribe to both channels. It's a lot of fun. All right, let's continue this. DFS and bets. Here's another win game. What do we got? Like 20 miles an hour, 22 miles an hour as it stands right now. Vikings at the Packers. Packers 6.5 point favorites. Dalvin Cook doesn't know if he's going to be back, but I was listening to the press conference earlier. Mike Zimmer, as we do this on Wednesday, assuming that Dalvin Cook is going to be back. So 6.5 points. We'll get to the total with Twatty here in just a second as well, because I think that's interesting at 52.5. But DFS side of things, with and without the wind, I guess is what we got to talk about here, right, Mangone? Because if there is no wind, then don't we love Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams again? Can make a case, even Aaron Jones every single week. And then on the Vikings side, there's a lot going on here too. I mean, is Irv Smith a deep dive? Thielen and Jefferson. It Cooks in play. So give me the breakdown here with the win and without the win from the DFS side.
All right. So without the win, I expect this game to interact really well, right? I think the Packers will be able to push the ball, and I think they'll put enough pressure on the Vikings where it forces them to kind of make some plays too. Forces them to, get outside of their comfort zone of what they like to do. They love to establish it. And listen, they could definitely establish it on the Packers. No doubt in my mind, they can just run that ball right down their throats. But I'm definitely kind of concerned about this game a bit. I do think the Packers, they're in a solid spot. Getting Aaron Jones back, I want to understand what the injury is. Will he be full go? Because it makes sense they keep Jamal Williams in the mix, and they've been already using him. So I don't think Aaron Jones is lock and load play, but he could be a really good tournament play. I don't mind Devontae Adams. I'm a little worried about this game. I don't know exactly how to handle it. I kind of hope it's windy. The reason why I kind of hope it's windy is if it is windy, I don't think people will account for that enough. And I think people won't understand that the Vikings, if that game is windy, Mike Zimmer, man, he's going to hope it's cold too. He can just pound the rock all day long because that's what Mike Zimmer wants to do, right? So I just really, really think that this is a game that I might not be as interested in as other people. I'm curious to see how the line goes throughout the week. We got a 53.5 total. Total. So obviously that's a game that I typically want to be all over, but I am a little concerned on where to go. And obviously I want to wait and see how the weather is. I'm not giving you the best take on this. Obviously, Davante Adams, his price just went up. So that's concerning. Not to say that he wasn't expensive before, but it is a price hike because of the type of game he just had. You look at Alexander Madison on the opposite side, he had an absolute dud. And if there's no Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison at 6K against the Falcons, we all would have been man, we have to play him. So why wouldn't we be kind of considering that here against the Packers?
I don't think we do have to play him. If you're playing Alexander Madison, you're hoping that he gets work in the passing game, right? Because that's the biggest pass funnel in the league, it seems like, in Atlanta.
Well, yeah, typically. But what I'm trying to say is this price difference of 6K, it's massive. That $1,000 difference. If there's no Dalvin Cook, I think it just becomes absolute chalk that people are going to be eating on this slate. So we just know the amount of usage that Zimmer gives his running backs in general. So I think that's worth mentioning. And then Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, the gap difference between them, it's 7.2K versus 6.5K. It's that's getting a little close where it's what is Jefferson's ownership going to be? Obviously in tournaments, we always want to talk about using leverage. And let's say that Alexander Madison becomes the stone chalk, then playing a Kirk Cousins with Adam Thielen and Jefferson stack is not a crazy idea. Or maybe just picking one and then running it back with someone. The only issue I just have is when there's Aaron Jones there and Davante Adams, I always want to see where the ownership is going to go, at least in tournaments, because if the ownership is heavy on one side, then I think it's a great leverage opportunity for the other guy. And with the injury to Aaron Jones and how Davante Adams played last week, and maybe there not being as many amazing spots on this slate, maybe some people pay up for Davante Adams and Aaron Jones gets a little under-owned. I wouldn't be crazy if that happened. And they have a perfect game script, 6.5-point favorites at home. That's what you want to see from a home running back. So I think that's interesting.
All right, let's do this on the other side. Matt Dixon. Packers 6.5. We talked about the total. If the wind is in the 20s, obviously bang the under. But can you play this game out from the betting side with and without wind being a factor?
Well, you're not going to believe this. I don't care. I'm still taking the over, even with wind.
You're taking the over no matter what in this game.
Well, and I expect it to come down, right? You expect this to be closer to 50 if the wind keeps up all week. First off, they've already played into the 70s. Their first game was in the 70s. Okay. They played into the 70s. We're talking about this. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know this. Minnesota has the second best offense in football. A lot of people didn't know that. That's yards per play. And Green Bay has the fourth best. They come back with the 25th best defense and 21st best defense. I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball in wind. He's done this his whole life. He cuts through the wind. He's amazing. He's one of the best bad weather quarterbacks ever. And then Minnesota doesn't throw the ball. They don't like to throw the ball. I mean, Thielen's a good player. Jefferson's a good player, but they make their money by running the ball. So the wind isn't going to affect them. I don't think the wind's going to affect Aaron Rodgers as much as people think. The game's already gone once into the 70s. They're both two good offenses, both two bad defenses. I don't have a problem going over in this game. I really don't. And now I want Dalvin Cook to play. I mean, Madison's a stud for a running back, but I do prefer Cook, obviously. So I'm not real worried about it. And they've already beat them by 9 points at their place. I see Green Bay covering the 6.5. So I like Green Bay 6.5 and the over.
You're just all about it then. All about the Packers, all about the over this week. That is like your conviction. Is what it sounds like.
Well, I mean, that's breaking it down. That's kind of where I was. I mean, again, they put up in the 70s. These two have already played. I understand it wasn't windy Green Bay. But again, who's better? Who's a bad weather quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? Like maybe Brett Favre in the history of football. Like they're just he's the best at that. And again, Minnie makes their money on the ground, so the wind's not going to affect them. So, yeah, I have no problem.
Okay, very good. I like it, boys. Last game to get to. This is my favorite DFS game of the week. Titans and the Bengals. We've got a spread here of Tennessee 6-point favorites. Actually, since the show started, I'm seeing it down to like 5.5. We might have had a little movement here, and the total's 53.5. Mangone, please tell me you're a little excited about a couple of things here. We got a quarterback in Joe Burrow attempting the most passes in the National Football League. We got Derrick Henry going up against a Bengals defense that I don't think anyone's scared of versus Derrick Henry. We might have some value in Gio Bernard. We have A.J. Brown, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. A.J. Green has got to be in the mix here. Come on, dude. There's a ton of options in this game. Please give me something.
Yeah, I mean, if we're ranking games like 1 through 10, this is like the 10 I see on this slate, Holden.
Hold on, 10 as in 10 out of good or 10 as the 10th game?
Like the 10th, yeah, like it's a 10 out of 10. The 10 I see, really bad dad joke. You didn't get that one there, Holden?
No.
Oh, man.
Because you're not a dad. You got to be a dad to tell a good dad joke.
Well, I mean, I thought it was good, but I guess not.
I didn't get it. So can you just clear it up? Do you like this game or not like this game?
Yeah, I mean, I like this game, but here's the problem, Holden. Like, let me explain. When you're getting excited about Titans Bengals, this slate sucks. Like,
no, it doesn't. Stop telling people it sucks. Be excited.
It's not that good, but it's okay. We're play it. We're still going to find the edge for the people. And we're still going to come out with winners. It's okay. Like, it's okay for a bad slate to be out there. But yeah, Titans, Bengals, it's definitely a good game. It's kind of rivals. There's another game I like a bit. I like Raiders, Browns, DFS too. I think those are like the two I was looking at that could be interesting. Is there wind here, Holden? Is this one of the win games of the week, though?
Is this a wind game? I do not see bad wind in this game.
Okay, well, that's
another reason why I absolutely love it. We got 14 miles an hour. I'm not worried about downgrading that, though. 50 degrees and 14 miles, that's fine.
Okay, and that's something we're talking about too, right? Like with all this wind stuff, like ownership might like kind of gravitate to certain areas. Like, and again, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's say that there's like 5 games that are above 50 totals, and 4 of those games have really bad wind and 1 doesn't. Well, a lot of ownership might gravitate towards that one area. And if that's the case, in tournaments, you can make a case to like fading that game and going to the other ones just because of strictly, ownership reasons. So that's something you have to kind of wait until you get later in the week to kind of talk about more. But I want to mention it so you're thinking about it and you say, oh, that was a good point that Mangone brought up earlier. And
good point, Mangone.
Thinking about it. So
great point, Mangone.
Thank you. At least someone said it. But yeah, so this game, it's definitely one to look at. And Derrick Henry, he is going to be an interesting guy to talk about this week. How do we handle him, right? He is 8K over on DK, which is a hefty price tag, and he has not been as involved in the pass game as you'd want. You saw Jerry McNichol still getting a bit of work there, and then you got him at 9.5K on FanDuel. Like, can you stomach that price tag? That is going to be one of the big questions on this slate. They're in a good spot. Obviously, they're going to be, favorites here against the Bengals. They're going to be establishing the run all game long, just pounding the rock. Mike Vrabel's just going to keep calling run plays for him. So he should be in a good spot. You're going to get over 20 runs. Does he break one of those 80-yard runs, right? Does that happen on this slate? If it does, you're feeling great about your play. If it doesn't, you might have some concerns, right? And I'll say this, the Bengals, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals got up early and caused the Titans to have to throw the ball more. And those are paths where maybe Henry could fail. So I think there's some risk to Henry in cash games, at least right now. I'll talk about it, the cash game stuff with Hoop and Holden on Friday to kind of figure it all out then. But I currently think that there's some risk to Henry in cash games, but in tournaments, he's an amazing play. I think you can make cases if this Titans, passing game gets underowned, you could obviously go that way. And listen, one thing you have to like about the Bengals, they pass. And when the team passes a lot, that's really good interaction. That means we're not going to have a team that's just running the ball like the Vikings a ton and killing up that clock. And that's a good sign, right? That's really good for DFS. We want a quarterback that throws 60 times a game, which Burrow has shown to do in some games this year. So he's got great targets in A.J. Green, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. All of those guys are in the mix. They're all seeing decent targets. I think they're all in play. And I can't tell you which guy I'm in love with the most, but I'll say this. T. Higgins has my interest more than I thought he would. I'm definitely thinking of, starting to play him a lot more and getting on board. So sign me up for this Bengals offense.
I, too, enjoy a little T. Higgins. I mean, and it goes back to college with these two guys. They're just on the same page. So it's been terrific. All right, Twatty. Saw the higher total. We got Tennessee 6-point favorites. This offense for the Bengals starting to come along. A.J. Green's now involved in it too. But the Titans, To me, still one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the AFC, coming off a tough loss last week. Is this a bounce back spot, or do you like the Bengals to hang in here?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's clearly the better team here, and I think they show that. I think they pretty much will dominate this game. I hate laying 6 because, you could be winning by 10-13, dominating the game, feel good about yourself, and then catch that back door. So a number like 6, I try to stay away from. Listen, the Bengals offense is 28th in yards per play, and they're 27th on defense. They're not a good team at all. They backdoored some games and got some covers. I think Henry's just going to demolish them. I mean, Henry ran for 70 yards against the Steelers last week, which was way below his average. We may get some value here. I mean, he's normally at 100 to 105. They set his prop at for rushing. Maybe because he did 70 or 75 last week, we can get it at 95, maybe 100. If that's the case, we got to pound that prop. He's going to get his 25 carries. He's going over 100 yards. They're going to just play bully ball on the Bengals, run that clock down. If I had to lean, I would say they probably cover the 6, but I'm not going to go that way. I'm just going to go Derrick Henry. Props, provided it's less, and I don't got it yet, provided it's less than 105. Anything under 105, no brainer, snap bet. Take Derrick Henry. They're going to play bully ball on him.
Hey, Mangone, is there too much risk for you there on Derrick Henry, since you were talking about, how maybe Cincinnati gets out front, or is that you just playing contrarian?
Yeah. So again, like it's early in the week. I haven't built a ton of lineups out. I definitely looked at the slate and I said, man, am I playing Derrick Henry in cash this week? Is that going to happen? I just think there is more risk to him than I guess others think, because of what McNichols has provided for them. A good pass blocker, a guy that they've been using in the pass game. I'm pulling it up now because I am curious I want to see how Henry did last week. Because I don't remember exactly what kind of production he put up.
He had like 70 yards.
Like 22 for 72 or something.
Yeah, I see it, 20 for 75. And again, I think this is the thing with Derrick Henry that you just have to keep in mind. Not to say he's not a good play, but if you get for 8K on DK and you get 15.2 fantasy points, which is what he put up last week, and he was against the Steelers. I know the Steelers are really good. He rushed for 75 yards. He got 2 targets. There is just more downside to him than some of these other running backs, right? And the reason why I like playing Alvin Kamara over Henry, if we're picking one or the other, they're only a $200 difference. The reason why is on DraftKings specifically, he costs the same price, and I get the PPR floor that Alvin Kamara has, and that PPR floor production is so amazing. I mean, 8 receptions, 8 targets, that's a touchdown, right? You're getting 6 points basically from him just catching the ball. That's not him even falling in the end zone. That's not even including the yardage he gets when he catches it. That's not even including the rushing yards. There's just such a better floor with Kamara than Henry. One argument that you can make this week, which might be a good thing to do, at least in your cash games, is you head on over to DK, you play Alvin Kamara, and then you don't play Derrick Henry. Again, we might have more value where we're able to play Derrick Henry, and then we get him in there. And then you head over to FanDuel on your cash games. You know what you say? You look at their pricing and you go, oh, look, Alvin Kamara is 9K and Derrick Henry's 9.5K. Well, on FanDuel, PPR is not as it's something that we don't need as much when it comes to the scoring, right? It's only 0.5 points. It's not 1. So the floor is not as strong. But you know what is nice on FanDuel? Touchdowns. It's a touchdown equity site. And what does Derrick Henry do? He does get touchdowns. 9.5K. It is a hefty price tag for him, but it's easy to play really good players on FanDuel. It might be a good spot to just play Henry in your cash games on FanDuel and then play Kamara in your cash games over on DA because of how they work with the scoring on each site.
I wonder for me, that doesn't matter to me on the bet side, like how much he is and his cost and if he can pass block. So he may not be a great DFS play this week because of those other factors, but I think he's a great bet side play.
What do you think his line will be, Twy? The one thing we've been betting, and I know the Jason's been on it, is the rushing attempts, right?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be at least 25.
Yeah.
25.
I really get 25. I mean, that's high, I will say.
He got 22 against the Steelers and didn't do shit. They kept giving him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'd say again is they've been using McNichols more. I'd have to really look at the snaps breakdown. He got 20. He got 20 against the Steelers. So far, this has been his season breakdown: 31, 25, 26, 19, 22, and 20. So,
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm curious to obviously see how that all shapes up with him. He's definitely going to be a guy I'm going to look at that bet on the bet side. I'm going to look at the player prop on the rush attempt side and see what it's
I
at.
feel
because they're going to lean on this Cincinnati team, guys. I mean, why would you even throw? I mean, just pound them.
Well, and they just traded Carlos Dunlap, right? Is that where he was? Was he with the Bengals?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he's a Seattle. No.
So, yeah, the Henry thing right now is just the usage going from like 31 and 26 down to 22 and 20. Maybe that's a little bit concerning, but I mean, Twatty, bring up a great point there. It's like the Bengals, sure, they throw a ton, but if you're Vrabel, why would you not want to slow that down and just run all over them with the most intimidating running back in the league? So I think 25 personally would make me uncomfortable, but as the week goes on, you continue to listen to the bet side, and then you guys are making great points.
But it'll be set, Kush, right? It'll probably be set at 22 or something, right?
Well, I love that. You said
right.
Boom.
Yeah, then that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think it'll be set at 25. I'm saying that I could see him getting 25 carries.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's that's huge.
I think it'll be set at 22 or, something like that.
Yeah, I think if they set this thing and it's anywhere over 20, like 22 and a half carries, I would still go over.
Yeah, exactly.
23 is probably where I'd start to get a little bit nervous. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, Mangone? The Derrick Henry thing. By the way, he's in a new Old Spice commercial too, so be on the lookout for that.
Are you saying you have 23 and a half carries for him?
Yeah, I think, well, I'd go under 23 and a half and over 22. And I think 23 is like a number where I'm comfortable with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I will say as it gets colder too, man, like tackling in the cold is not fun. It definitely is not. So as it gets colder, obviously looking in his overs is a good idea. I think this is his highest, this might be his highest number. Even over the January number, I think. I forget. Ian Hartitz tweeted out. It was pretty good. He basically had all the splits for every single one. And November was higher than December, I remember, for his rushing numbers. So yeah.
He just goes in there and
Derrick Henry, I'm expecting him to have a pretty good game.
They just feed him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those weeks. It's one of those weeks where it's like, I don't know if I love receiver. And I could even see myself just being like, let me go get the running backs. Like, let me just go get the floor of 20 points each at 3 of my spots and move on. And then I'll figure out receiver because receiver, there's enough good plays, right? There's a lot of good guys in the 5 and 6K range and I can make it happen. So that's definitely something a route I'm going to look at for sure.
You can continue punting at tight end, maybe Irv Smith. I know it's a tough matchup, but he's got back-to-back 5 catch games. He's more involved. He's running more routes. You could save there. I mean, ideally, if you can get Kamara, Henry, and Hunt, that's just a nice baseline. I mean, maybe you have to go with a Joe Burrow at quarterback, which I'm fine with too. The guy's averaging almost 42 attempts a game, Mangone. Like I have no problem plugging in Joe Burrow again in cash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind going to a Joe Burrow. Like I said, and these receivers, right? The thing that's going to be nice about them all season long, their prices are going to yo-yo back and forth, right? Like the guy who has the good game, he's going to get the price bump. And then like one of them's, not every week all 3 are going to crush. Some of them, you might see weeks where all 3 have decent floors, but you're not going to see all these weeks where like all 3 absolutely crush and then they're all like 6K, right? So it's good to just keep buying all season long, just keep buying low on the cheaper guy. And like right now, it'd be AJ Green. It'd be saying, hey, 4.5K is a really cheap price tag in your cash games. Here's his last 2 games, man, 15.2 fantasy points and 17.6 with, what do you get? 13 and 11 targets. Like, how do you ignore that at that price? I mean, that just seems like a great play. So I think AJ Green is going to get some talk, and this is going to be a good game stack opportunity too. Like, it's so easy to just be like, let me play Derrick Henry, and then I'll plug in Joe Burrow, AJ Green, and like, I don't know, T. Higgins, and then hey, that's my stack, and then I'll fill in some other good plays around it. But it's definitely a route to look at.
I think it's going to be a bit of a popular route if the wind is pushing people off of games. But I think you can also be unique because there's legitimately 3 guys that are getting massive targets. I mean, Green has 24 targets the last 2 weeks. 24.
Yeah,
he and Boyd are just getting peppered, and T. Higgins is in that too. So he's averaging 41.9 passes per game. And Matt, I mean, I know you're looking at this saying, hey, maybe this is where Derrick Henry just runs it to the ground, but you could also see Burrow just having to air it out, right?
Oh, well, He doesn't have to air it out to air it out. He'll air it out for any reason. You know what I mean? But yeah, I see Tennessee as the better team, the more physical team. Dunlap is a good point, Mangone made that he's gone. That's not going to help them stop Henry. I just think they bully ball him.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to ask you about then, Mangone, would be from this game, Gio Bernard. Like Mixon's probably out again. Bernard had a great matchup last week. Would you go back to him again this week? Twatter, you're shaking your head up and down. You like the Gio play?
He's such a good backup. I mean, he's especially in DFS. He's a stud for a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to consider Gio again. If Mixon's going to be out, Gio will end up being probably chalkier. Let me just see his price. What was his increase? 5'9". Yeah, that's a little tougher, but again, he definitely had a bell cow role, right? And if you said, hey, a bell cow that's going to catch passes too at 5'9", you would definitely be interested in. FanDuel did not give it the hike it probably should have. Like 5'8" is still a nice a price tag. Actually, oh no, I'm looking at it wrong. So he's 5'9" over on FanDuel, and DK he's 5'8", which are same thing, but both those prices are still pretty solid overall for the role he's in. So don't want to ignore him at all.
Yeah, I got a note on him here. So let's see here. So last year they said he got starts, but Mixon was there the whole year. But in 17 and 18, when Mixon was down, he averaged 17 and a half touches a game. And last week he got another 18. So you know what the workload is going to be. It's not only on the ground, it's in the air. So especially if they're trailing, boom, now we get 4 or 5 dump downs to Gio Bernard, and we like this. So I think he's in play. Matt, any other thoughts on the slate on this week from a betting side, or did you get everything out of your system?
Not really. I mean, I had a lot of bets and lots of leans. Now, obviously, we have our spreadsheet. I'm going to narrow this down for the boys on the spreadsheet. But lots of leans, lots of props. Yeah, I probably had 8 to 10 things I really liked on this slate.
Good. I like it. And Mangone, anything else you want about this slate besides for you hate it? Is there one spot that you actually like?
Oh man. I'll say this. I obviously like the game we just talked about. I think it's good. One of the key things in tournaments to talk about, and I just want to plug our show that we do on Saturdays because I'll toot my own horn a little bit. I talked about the Browns game last week, Browns Bengals, and the opportunity it has. And looking at ownership on Friday and Saturday is key to try and make some leverage opportunities. I talked all week. I said tight end sucks. I hate tight end. Holden, you can agree. I said on the Cash Game show, I hate tight end. It's terrible. But I had a moment. I was sitting there on Saturday looking at things, and I said, all right, well, David Njoku is going to be the chalkiest play on the slate. And this guy, Harrison Bryant's $500 cheaper. I know he's a good catching player. And on top of that, he's 500 cheaper, and no one's going to play him. He's going to be what? It was like 5% owned, I think I saw, or 4%. It was very low. It was like probably like a fourth of what Njoku was at. And then the only reason his ownership went up was because 1, tight end was bad, and 2, he became the starter Sunday morning, so more people got on him, but he scored 2 touchdowns. Looking for leverage opportunities is key. So if everyone does gravitate towards that Bengals-Titans game because of wind or something like that, there are reasons to maybe get off it, because at the ownership that it's at, you're just building the same lineups as everyone else. Like if everyone's building let's say you're in a tournament where there's 250,000 people. Let's say that, 25% of them are playing a Burrow, Derrick Henry, and a AJ Green stack. Do you want to be on that stack with all those people? Like that's a lot of people to try and beat. So in tournaments, you have to think of ways to get different in just small ways. Sometimes you have to go a little bit crazier. I know that's Big T's approach to win those milli makers and those other tournaments, and those are the spots to do that. So when you're kind of playing, when you're doing those tournaments, you get a little crazier. When you're doing those single entry, 3 entry max, just find small pivots. And that was one small pivot I found last week that some people played too, and the subscribers crushed because of it. That was one big reason why we had success last week was people were on Harrison Bryant. AP put him in his core plays, and having him in his core plays was big because it allowed you to get Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, and all those other good plays that had monster games.
All right, gentlemen. Again, give us and ladies watching this, thumbs up. Just one. Don't do 2 like Mangone told you to, because if you do it the second time, it'll take the like away. So just do it 1 time. Okay. Sign up for the bet side. Run Pure Bets, 25% off, 25 off. And if you just want to check out a week, $20 is nothing. How do they find you on the social medias there, Mr. Matt Twatty Dixon?
Yeah, well, what was that, Holden?
How do they find you on the Twitter machine?
Oh, yeah. I am at Twatty Latte or Mr. New to Town. Either one will get you to me.
Wonderful. All right. And again, Run Pure Sports. We got our pricing and packaging, runpuresports.com. DFS side on fire during the NFL. I mean, I can't tell you, every single week we have so many different lineups on our spreadsheet here. And again, crushed it last week. Last week was one of my 2 weeks ago, worst week ever betting DFS. Last week, best week ever. So if you're down, these guys are going to help you get up too. Mangone, where do they find you on the social medias?
Yeah, you can find me at Travis Mangone, doing stuff over there and trying to help you out with all the stuff at Run Pure Sports.
Cool. Be dropping my positional previews here coming up later on Wednesday. So be on the lookout for those on YouTube. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Follow me on Twitter at Holden Radio. For Simon, our big man running this behind the scenes, and Matt and Mangone, I'm Holden, and keep running pure.
Thanks, guys.